welcome back to the Soul and Strategy podcast. My name is Sabine. I'm a spiritual life and soul business coach and your host. And today we're going to talk about the reason why you maybe haven't started your soul-led business yet, or you haven't launched that workshop, you haven't opened that Instagram account. And procrastination is such a big part of what I do and what I work with my clients with, because we all procrastinate on things that are new to us. So today I want to talk to you about why that is, why you maybe haven't started yet. And of course, that's not blaming you or anything, but just diving into the psychology of why and what you can do to actually move forward. So why is it that it feels so hard to start your soul-led business? You might feel like you're procrastinating a lot, or you're doing something that feels productive but actually isn't. Maybe it is redesigning your logo or redesigning your Canva templates for your Instagram account. And it feels productive, but yet it is a way of procrastinating because you're actually not moving the needle forward. You're staying busy in the background to make you feel good, but actually you're not getting the results that you want, which is, for example, launching a workshop or getting your first clients. And those things often feel like they will lead you there, but they don't really do. So why do we procrastinate? Procrastination is a way of keeping you safe. So we need to understand that if we start something new, for example, let's say me starting this podcast, it's something that I have never done before. And of course it feels uncomfortable. And of course it feels like I could easily fail, or I'm not good enough at doing this, especially if I look at other podcasts and other people who are talking in front of the camera. They're probably a lot better than me because they have more experience. So the feeling and the fear of not being good enough, of being rejected, of looking like a beginner, of people maybe laughing at you, that's often what stops people. So I would invite you here to look at, why are you procrastinating? And if the answer is like, oh, maybe I don't have enough time, or I don't really know what to do, I would lovingly invite you to question that, because often you do know what to do next. What is the thing that you're actually avoiding right now? Because we all have the thing that we are avoiding. We know we should be doing it. We know it's going to move us forward, but we just don't do it because it feels scary. So what is that thing for you? And then look here at, why are you avoiding it? What are you thinking will happen if you take that action? So what do you think will happen if you start doing face-to-camera videos on Instagram rather than hiding behind pictures or behind, like static B-roll reels? What do you think will happen if you run your first workshop? Do you think that maybe no one will come, no one will like it, you will not be good enough, maybe you don't know what to do? So that's the layer we want to look at. We want to look at, what is the fear and the belief that sits underneath the procrastination. Because procrastination is just a way for your system to protect you. Because obviously, if you do something new, it feels scary. You don't have much proof that it will work out. And that's why it's outside of your comfort zone, right? Everything that feels comfortable is because you have done it before. And everything that you haven't done before starts feeling uncomfortable. Makes sense, right? But in order for us to grow, in order for us to follow our path and our calling, we need to do things that are new and that you have never done before. Otherwise, you're not growing. You're just repeating the same thing again and again. So we need to understand, what is the underlying fear of the procrastination? And then really look at, is it true? Can you say with absolute certainty that no one will show up to your workshop? That you will disappoint your first one-on-one client because you feel like you don't know what you're doing? And probably the answer will be no. because you can't know. You can't know with certainty that it won't work out. So that's the first step. We want to really question, is this belief true? And then what are ways that you can help yourself to make sure that the worst case scenario doesn't happen? So for example, if you want to run your first workshop, the worst case scenario might be for you that no one will join. What are things you can do now to avoid that will happen, to avoid that no one will show up? So maybe it is really leaning into marketing, inviting some of your friends so you know that someone will show up. And then the second thing we want to do is to look at what could you do if the worst case scenario happens. So for example, if no one shows up to your workshop, what could you do? Maybe you use that time to reflect on what you could do different next time. Or maybe you run the workshop just for yourself and honor that time for you. Maybe if you had planned a cacao ceremony, you just do the cacao ceremony for yourself. So we then take away the heaviness and the pressure of that worst case scenario, because often we think it's the end of the world if no one comes to our workshop. And I have had workshops where no one booked, and I've had yoga classes where no one showed up. And it's not the end of the world, because there will be so many more classes or other offers that you will create that will work out. Or even if you host the same workshop at a different time, maybe it was school holidays or everyone was traveling, if you then host it again, you will see that maybe you will sell it out then. So sometimes it's just a little bit out of our control. But the important thing is that you don't let yourself be held back by those fears of what if. First, we never know that those things will happen. And second of all, you have so much power to do your best, to give everything, to obviously prevent the worst case scenario. And even if it does happen, it is not the end of the world. It is just a learning. It is a beautiful way for you to reflect on, what can I do different next time? And also, part of growing a business or starting a business is just to feel that not everything will work out, because that's just the reality. Not everything that you're going to start, not every post that you're going to write, not every project that you're going to launch will be the project, will like kick off and become this huge thing. It's just not, that's just not how it's going to be, or how it ever is. So also learning that it's okay that some things don't work, and it's okay to be a beginner as well. Like for example, me right now, I'm recording this. This is the third time. I've got the trailer, I've got the first episode. This is the second episode. There's still so much for me to learn, of course. Maybe in a year's time, I will look back at my first episode and I will think, oh my God, like this was horrible, or whatever it is, right? So I'm also a beginner right now. But we need to go through the beginning stages in order to get somewhere else. Because if you don't take any action, and that's another question for you, if you don't take that step forward, where will you be in a half year or in a year from now? You will be exactly where you are right now. You will still be thinking about whatever it is that you want to launch or you want to start. You still will be daydreaming about how your life could be different. And you will feel frustrated that you haven't started, especially if you feel like right now you're almost too late to start. In half a year or a year's time, you will also feel that. So the best time to start is always now. I also want you to just be really kind with yourself. And I'm going to do another episode on this, but basically, we all have different parts within ourselves, and that's part of like parts theory and parts work. And your procrastination and your fear is part of you as well. And we can interact with that fear. We can interact with the procrastination and talk to it. So I want you to be gentle and kind with yourself and with that part of you that feels scared to be visible, that feels scared to fail, to be rejected, to be laughed at. And that's okay, and that's normal. So how would you talk to a little child that had those feelings, that experienced those fears? You would probably say something like, it's okay, I see you, I see that you're scared, we're doing something new, it's normal to feel scared. And I know that this is our path. I know that this is our calling. So we're just gonna try. And if it doesn't work, it's okay. We will just do what we always used to do. That's maybe something you would say to a little child. So I invite you to also bring that kindness and that gentleness to yourself. Because in the end of the day, fear will never disappear. Even if you crack that first ceiling, let's say you got your first one-on-one client, then there will be another fear of like, okay, how am I going to now expand and make this sustainable? This might never work. Or maybe you want to increase your prices. There will be another fear. So fear will never go away. We need to find ways to take fear by the hand and work with it so it's not dominating our life. It's not manifesting in procrastination. Because the other thing about procrastination and also overwhelm is that sometimes we think like we just need a plan. Someone just needs to tell us what to do first, what to do second, etc. And then everything will run smoothly. And I want to bust that myth because yes, sometimes we do need information, but we live in a time where there's so much information available. There's actually more information available that we need. So most likely you know what to do. It's just that you're afraid of taking that step forward. So more strategy, more plans, more roadmaps, more gurus telling you which thing to do and how to do it is actually just going to add to the confusion and add to the procrastination. And actually that's another way of procrastinating, is thinking that, oh, I just need to watch, or I just need to do another course on this, or download another ebook or guide on this, and then I feel ready. Well, no, because the fear and the feeling of not feeling ready is not going to go away just because you downloaded another ebook or you signed up for another course. So going back to what I said at the beginning of the episode, really look at what is that underlying fear and the reason for procrastinating. Be really honest with you here and just allow the answer to arrive. And then whatever it is, work with that fear, work with that answer. And that will then help you take the steps forward. Because even if you find the best strategy, it's not going to work if you don't have those internal foundations. If you still have the fear of being visible, of speaking in front of other people or the camera, of charging money, maybe you want to attract your first client, but internally you're afraid of receiving money, or you're afraid that you won't create the transformation for them to make it worth their money, let's say. You won't attract a client, even though you consciously want it, subconsciously you're afraid. So we need to look at the underlying fear here. I hope that this episode really helped you understand why you're procrastinating, or why you're maybe feeling overwhelmed, and why it feels so hard to take those steps forward and outside of your comfort zone. And you also understood what it takes and what we need to do, what the inner work looks like to actually take those steps forward, so that the strategy that you pick, the roadmap that you picked, is actually working. And I hope that this episode inspires you to dig a little bit deeper and set the foundations to really go out there and share your vision and your mission with others. And I'll see you in the next episode. If you enjoyed this little episode, please follow, please share the podcast with other people, rate the podcast, write a comment. In this way, more and more people can find the Soul and Strategy podcast, and I would love for more people to get inspired. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, for liking, and I'll see you in the next episode.